Holy shit. It's Druid tanks. Druid tanks, I swapped from a Prout Warrior in era or from 2019 Classic to playing a Druid tank in the Burning Crusade because they were just phenomenal. And it's starting to look like there might be some pizzazz to the old Druids. We're going to take a look. So, Druids are unequivocally the worst class ever in Classic. They're not really good at anything. They're okay as Resto. They're okay as Druid tanks. They suck pretty much as Ferals. And they're terrible Boomkins currently. But in Season of Discovery, it's looking like meme specs are going to be a thing. I don't know if it's going to work. We're going to have to see how it scales. But let's look at the chest runes. And I'm specifically looking at tanking stuff. I don't really care about anything else. It's not really my thing. A lot of other people worry about that. Fear of Storm Rage definitely seems like a healing thing. Because you'll find yourself as a druid in a lot of situations, you're not really doing much. You're kind of waiting around. And if you could just do damage to the boss and just give out free healing touches, there's going to be a lot of utility for that. Because a lot of fights, you're just not going to have to heal much. And unless you're spot healing, and so something to think about. Wild Strikes is honestly the best ability I've seen in a long time because it's a WINDFURY totem for your party members, and every raid is going to need one of these, potentially another feral druid as well. But even that, I think druids are going to be really great because of what else they get. I'm going to show you in a second. But Wild Strikes is amazing. Utility for your raid. PvE, this is bonkers. Could you imagine being with a Prot Paladin that gives the Horn of Lordaeron buff, the Wild Strikes? This is the party you want to be in. If you are a pumper and not a dumper, this is it. Wild Strikes, you want a feral druid bad. You're going to be begging for it. Please, I want to parse. This is how you do it. This is it. This is going to imagine having Hand of Justice, Titan's Grip Warrior, Wild Strikes, game, set, match. Warriors are going to be murdering. And especially AoE fights. This is over. And I heard potentially Fan of Knives for Rogues, potentially. That's crazy. So, Wild Strikes brings up so much utility for your team. Very good. Very strong. Survival of the Fittest is good, but I think Wild Strikes outweighs Survival of the Fittest. And I think you should use Survival of the Fittest if your druid is tanking something pretty tough. But honestly, a Prot Warrior would be better because Wild Strikes is just so much better than Survival of the Fittest. The utility from it, the damage from it. So, Living Seed is really cool. Great for Resto Druids. It's just something extra to make them a little bit better because they really do suck. Wild Growth is really good for Resto Druids. This is a definite Resto Druid good change. It's going to make them much better on AoE healing, and I think with the buff and debuff limit being removed, this is going to be really good for the raid. At least one Resto Druid is what you're going to need. And anyway, so Mangle. Perfect. Glove rune right here. So you got Mangle and you've got Lacerate. The thing about Mangle is it is your Bloodthirst ability for Druid tanks. And you want to keep Mangle on the target at all times because Mangle the target for 100%, 160% normal damage and cause the target to take 30% additional damage from bleed effects and shred for 1 minute. But what you don't realize is how much bleeds the bosses are going to be taking from people like rogues and warriors. You're going to increase their damage from bleed effects as well, which creates just so much utility. And also, Mangle's perfect for tanking. Now, Lacerate seems like it would be good, right? But if you're running two druids, one feral, one tank, the tank needs to run Mangle because it's your Bloodthirst ability, you're always using it on cooldown, right? But Lacerate is great because it's a bleed, right? But it's not that much threat. Actually, it says right here, causes a high amount of threat. So maybe you want to swap that and have a feral druid put up Mangle, and then your druid tank put up Lacerate. But you're gonna have to just see how the tanks play. And the thing is, I think that you're supposed to pick different tanks, and I think they're promoting different tanks in this season, which is really cool. So pretty much anything can tank. We're going to see how good they are in game. We're going to have to see. Let's go down to leg runes. There's only two. There's four. So the Skull Bash is pretty cool. It's an interrupt. Okay, cool. Life Bloom, great. That's really great for Esther Druids. You got Life Bloom, Wild Growth, Living Seed. Pretty much they're back. They're BC healers and they're really great. You're going to need at least one. Savage Roar is great for Feral Druids. So let's take a look. So obviously they're going to give Skull Bash to the Druid tanks who are tanking for interrupts. Obviously you want your tanks to be your best players. They're going to be great at utility as well, so that's probably better on a Druid tank. And then you've got Savage Roar, and it's really good for Ferals. You know, back in the beginning of Wrath, you would swap between Bear Weaving. I don't know if that's going to be a thing. I hope it's not. I hope that you can just stay in one. I hope you can use potions in your forms, man. Wouldn't that be something? But maybe they will. Hopefully they do. We need to see that. We need to see if people can use potions in bear form. We need to test that. But it's starting to look pretty good. Druid tanks look really great because they bring so much utility, which is the core of their class. They bring utility to the raid. They don't really affect the raid greatly. And the thing is, I don't really see any cooldowns, big cooldowns from Druids. You got Frenzy Regen. I don't see Survival of the Fittest. I see Survival of the Fittest, but I don't see like a Last Stand ability. If we get that Last Stand ability, we'll be back. Druid tanks will be really a force to be reckoned with. So we'll be looking at that.